Who are the oldest surviving elves in the world of Middle-earth, or otherwise known as Arda? The ones that are many thousands of years old, at least the known ones with names in the works of Tolkien. These would be elves that reside both in the undying lands of Valinor and the ones in the lands of Middle-earth. See, elves have what is called, in the words of Tolkien himself, limitless serial longevity, which might seem like immortality, but not really so, as they are tied or bound to the world of Arda to the very end. The elves here do not suffer from ailments or diseases, nor do they die of old age. They, however, can be killed or slain, and they can die due to their grief or weariness of the longevity of their years. If an elf dies, their soul would be summoned to the Halls of Mandos in Aman, and it would stay there till the ending of the world, or in very unique instances, be re-embodied by the Valar themselves and return to the physical world. Anyway, let's take a look at 15 of the oldest elves here. At 15 we have Celebrian. Celebrian was the daughter of Celeborn and Galadriel and the wife of Elrond, the Lord of Rivendell. She was born likely around the year 300 of the Second Age, during the time when Galadriel refused to return to the Undying Lands. Unfortunately, in the year 2509 of the Third Age, she was attacked and tormented by orcs, suffering a poison wound which broke her spirit and made her decide to travel to the Undying Lands and remain there, beyond the evils of Middle-earth. She was 5,651 years old back then, and as of the year 120 of the Fourth Age, she would likely be over 6,280 years of age. Number 14. Elrond. He is one of the most respected and renowned elves of the Third Age, also one of the most powerful. Elrond, who appeared in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings as the Lord of Rivendell and one of the bearer of the 3 elven rings, is one of the members of the White Council as well. He was born in the year 532 of the First Age, which makes him over 6,600 years of age as of the year 120 of the Fourth Age. 13. Thranduil. The Elven King, father of Legolas Greenleaf, is a Sindarin elf and the ruler of the Woodland Realm, home to the Silvan Elves of northern Mirkwood. He is the son of Orpha, who led a group of Sindarin elves eastward from Lindon to Greenwood the Great early in the Second Age. Thranduil's exact date of birth is not really recorded by Tolkien, but based on his father's timeline, he may have been born in the First Age or early Second Age, which makes him, at the highest estimate, a bit older than Elrond. Number 12. Gildor. Gildor Inglorian was a Noldor elf of the House of Finrod, who was one of the few exiled Noldor still there in Middle-earth as of the late Third Age. In September 3018 of the Third Age, he led a wandering company of elves of Rivendell traveling eastwards, and on the way he encountered Frodo and company, who were being chased by the Black Riders. Gildor might have been intended to be Finrod Felagund's son, and if so, then that makes him at the very least as old as Elrond or Thranduil, if not older. Number 11. Glorfindel. Glorfindel was one of the mightiest elves of Middle-earth. He was actually born in Valinor sometime during the Years of the Trees, but during the First Age, he died fighting a Balrog in Gondolin. After his re-embodiment by the Valar, he was allowed to come back to life in Middle-earth in the Second Age, acting as an emissary of the Valar, on a similar mission like the Istari or the Wizards, who were to come years later. But now, since he was born in the Years of the Trees, he would currently be anywhere between 7,000 and 8,000 years of age. Number 10. Celeborn. Celeborn was one of the noblest of the Sindar elves who wedded Lady Galadriel and remained in Middle-earth and became the Lord of Lothlórien. Celeborn was a Sindarin prince of Doriath and was born in the Years of the Trees, although the exact date was never mentioned by J.R.R. Tolkien before his death, and he still said that Celeborn was a kinsman of Thingol, and that his original name was Telporno, which would have been controversial on screen. This would likely have made Celeborn very old, at least over 8,000 years by the time of the Fourth Age. Number 9. Galadriel. The Lady of Lothlórien and the bearer of the Ring of Adamant, Nenya. She was a Noldor and was born in Aman in the year 1382 of the Years of the Trees. She was the daughter of Finarfin and Eowyn, as well as being the younger sister to Finrod Felagund. She was one of the major players in the War of the Ring, and even before that during the Second and Third Ages, in the struggle against Sauron. By the end of the saga, she would return to the Undying Lands. She is counted then to be 8,374 years of age, and adding 120 years of the Fourth Age, that would make her almost 8,500 years of age. Number 8. Finrod. Finrod was an elven king of the Noldor, the eldest son of Finarfin and the older brother to Galadriel. Finrod was born in Eldamar, or Elvenhome, in Aman in the Year of the Trees in 1300, which is within the First Age. He was one of the Noldor who initially decided against the exile to Middle-earth, but followed them due to his wariness of his people being under Fëanor's rule. He actually died in the Isle of Werewolves in Tol Ungorhoth in the year 465 of the First Age, but the Valar re-embodied him and allowed him to live in Eldamar again. He would thus be 12 years shy of being 9100 years old by the current age. Number 7. Éowyn. Also known as the Swan Maiden of Alqualondë, she was a noble Telerian elf of Aman and a princess of the royal house of the Teleri. She was the daughter of Olwe, the lord of the Teleri and the king of Alqualondë. She was likely born before the year 1280 of the Years of the Trees when she was married, and since elves take over 100 years to mature and then get married, this would mean that she was near to the age of Finarfin. Anyway, she never left Aman, and so, as with all others there, whose ages are still counted up till the 4th Age, she would be more than 9400 years or more. Number 6. Finarfin. Finarfin was born in Valinor in the year 1230 of the Years of the Trees. He was the youngest child and son of Finwë and Indis, and the third king of the Noldor in Valinor. After the fateful flight of the Noldor to Middle-earth, he refused to join and instead stayed back in Tirion and ruled over the remaining Noldor who remained in Aman up till the current 4th Age, which would make him over 9750 years old, ruling the Noldor in Aman for almost 7100 years. Number 5. Irime. Irime was the third child and daughter of Finwë, the king of the Noldor, and Indis, his second wife. She did not follow the Noldor into exile, instead abiding amongst the Vanyar with her mother. She was born between the years 1190 and 1230 of the Years of the Trees, and thus she would likely be between 9600 and 10,021 years old. Number 4. Findis. Findis was the first child of Finwë and Indis. Like her sister, she did not follow the Noldor into exile, instead stayed back with her mother. She was the older sister to Irime. She was born between the years 1185 and 1190 of the Years of the Trees, and thus would likely be over 10,000 years old, but of course older than her sister here. Number 3. Elmo. Elmo was a noble elf of the royal house of the Teleri. He was the younger brother to Thingol and Olwe. Though not as prominent in the histories as his brothers, Elmo likely held the title of prince, given the fact that his grandson Celeborn was also considered a prince of Doriath, based on his birth during the Years of the Trees between 1105 and 1150. Elmo would be approximately 10,400 to 10,900 years old by the 4th Age. Number 2. Indis. Indis was a Vanyar elf, the second wife of Finwë, and she was born at Cuiviénen before the Great March of the Eldar to Aman, which means before the year 1105 of the Years of the Trees. After the rebellion of Fëanor and the exile of much of the Noldor, she and her daughter Findis and Irime remained behind in Aman, returning to live among the Vanyar in sorrow following Finwë's death. She is also most likely one of the oldest elves to be named and still alive. And on the first spot we have 3 elves, Círdan, Olwe and Ingwe. Círdan was amongst the greatest and most noble of the Sindarin elves, likely born or awakened in Cuiviénen in the start of the First Age. He later ruled over the coastal region of the Falas, and by the Second Age, he had become the master of the Grey Havens. Now, there are 2 more of a similar stature in age. First is Olwe, who is the ruling king of the Teleri and Alqualondë, and then there's Ingwe on the other hand, who is the king of the Vanyar elves and one of the Minyar born in Cuiviénen, and he has ruled over the Vanyar for more than 10,000 years. These 3 here are the oldest elves, being around between 10,900 and 11,400 years of age as of the 4th Age 120. Of course, there are many others in Aman like Matan, who actually pass on Owl's Smith knowledge to the one and only Fëanor, and then the countless unnamed elves of the First Age, who never left its shores to join the war against Morgoth. Then there are the 3 elven fathers and their wives whose fate were never known. They most likely would be dead, or if still alive they would be the oldest, since they were the first to awake in Cuiviénen. And lastly, there are also still the 6 tribes of the Avari, which were mentioned in the Third Age, and had merged with the Silvan Elves near the Vales of the Anduin, who then now refer to themselves as seniors in the nature of Middle-earth works. Anyway, with that we end this video. Now if you like this one, then watch this other one too, and do check out our channel for other fantasy and dragon and monster content. We might have things we haven't seen before. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, fam.